Well, that went a lot better than I expected. Hello, darkness, my old friend. You've come to talk with me again. Sens lose 4-3 in overtime to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
How are the young guys now? I finally did it! I scored again! Quit taking penalties!
The Sens are gonna blow this game. Way to tie up the stick in front. Not.
Well done. Just well done.
You better believe we're gonna be having a penalty chat at the end of this one.
What a time to be alive!
What a long and brutal season that was.
This team, man!
Could have been a lot worse, yes, but it also could have been a lot better. Marcus Hogberg did a great job to keep the Sens in that game. So that's why they got the bad song. As always though, let's kick things off with lineup changes. After the last couple games, the lineup changes for this game are much nicer to go through. They made just one change and that came in goal, where Marcus Hogberg got the start, while Anders Nilsson served as the backup. But the Sens come out in this game and don't look any different than they did the night before against Florida. And 7.5 minutes into the first period, the Lightning take their first lead of the game. Marcus Hogberg survives a wild scramble around the Sens goal, but loses his stick. Then Duclair can't handle a Nemesnikov pass, lands on the stick of Kucherov, with Hogberg looking at his stick behind the net. Kucherov fires it on goal. Hogberg then has no chance to make the save. It goes by him, and the Lightning lead 1-0. Ay, ay, ay. What a brutal goal. I know Hogberg kind of relaxed because he thought the Sens were going to get the puck out, but Hogberg has to do a better job of staying locked in and not focusing on his stick so much. But Duclair has to do a better job of helping his goalie out and figuring out a way to get that puck out of the zone. But then a few minutes later, Tierney feeds Borowiecki, he fires a one-timer slap shot on goal, it beats Vasilevsky with Nemesnikov and Duclair providing screens in front, and just like that, we're tied at 1. This was a huge goal too. I honestly believed that the Sens were going to get their show run after Tampa scored to make it 1-0. So for Ottawa to get this goal and get the game tied is a huge swing in momentum. Plus, Borowiecki just tied a career high in goals, assists, and points in a season. So that's great news too. Imagine not even being halfway through the season and already having as many goals, assists, and points as you've had in any one season combined. Pretty great if you ask me. But with just over 2.5 minutes left in the first period, Chris Tierney gets cross-checked from behind in the right wing corner of the Sens zone. The puck then goes to the left wing corner. Tierney comes flying across the ice, loses a one-on-one battle, falls down. The puck goes back to the right wing corner, then comes in front to Paquette, who's left wide open because Tierney's on the ice. He beats Hogberg, and it's 2-1 Tampa Bay. What a brutal shift for Tierney. Gets cross-checked from behind, then falls down in the other corner, then leaves his man wide open and gets scored on. The cross-check probably should have been a penalty, but he didn't exactly do himself any favors with the rest of that shift. Luckily for the Sens, the damage doesn't get any worse, and we head to the first intermission with Tampa Bay in front 1-0. Then with just over 3.5 minutes gone in the second period, Braden Point wheels into the Sens zone, fires a wrister on goal from the right wing faceoff dot, it somehow beats Hogberg, and it's 3-1 Lightning. Boy, for as good as Hogberg was last night, this goal was just brutal. I'm sure it's a goal he probably wants back, and if he gets it back, the Sens might win this game. But just 29 seconds later, the Sens bail out their young netminder. Eric Brandstrom feeds Connor Brown in the slot, he whips a wrister by Vasilevsky, and it's 3-2 Lightning. And just like that, Connor Brown now has 3 goals in his last 4 games. After a tough start, he's starting to come along. And speaking of red hot, with just over 4 minutes left in the period, Anthony Duclair picks a pocket of Nikita Kucherov in the Sens zone, he outraces everybody down the ice, wrist shots won by Vasilevsky, and just like that, we're tied at 3. And speaking of tying career highs not even halfway through the season, Anthony Duclair is just 1 goal away from tying his career high in goals as well. And this goal proved to be huge, as it not only tied the game, but stapled Nikita Kucherov to the bench. As I recall, he only played 1 third period shift. And speaking of the third period, we head there with the game still tied at 3. And then, Thanks in large part to a number of huge Marcus Hogberg saves, the Sens make it to overtime with the game still tied at 3. And let me tell you, what a fun overtime it was. Vasilevsky stops Pajot on a breakaway just 30 seconds into overtime. Then not even a minute later, Hogberg makes an excellent left pad save on a Lightning 3-on-1. Then about a minute and a half later, Chabot's robbed on an excellent chance in the Lightning zone. Then with about 20 seconds left in overtime, Chabot has his pocket picked at the Lightning blue line, Cirelli races back the other way, Duclair goes off the ice on a line change, Tierney can't come on the ice fast enough, Cirelli then blows by Nick Paul, who's a defenseman, races in all alone, falls down on his knees, flicks the shot over a hunkered down Marcus Hogberg, it beats Hogberg, and the Lightning win 4-3 in overtime. What a terrible way to lose that hockey game. That winning goal just looked brutal. It really is a good thing this is a lost season for the Sens. After throwing away points to Montreal and now to Tampa Bay, I'd probably be really angry if this season mattered. But honestly, with the way it is, I'm just kind of defeated. Let's just get into good news, bad news. Ottawa did not fold up and go home last night, and that is the good news. I thought the game against Florida on Monday night, Ottawa didn't do a very good job of managing the game, particularly in the second period. They kind of just let things get worse and worse and worse, and weren't able to manage the momentum very well. Well, last night I thought they did a much better job of that. The Lightning dominated the first 10 or 15 minutes of the game. At one point, the shot attempts were 18-1. But Borowiecki pops one in, then all of a sudden the Sens have a little bit of mojo, and before you know it, the shots are 10-10. Of course, the Lightning would then go on to take a 2-1 lead before the end of the period and make it 3-1 early in the second period. But again, Ottawa didn't panic, marched right back to get that goal wiped away, and then finally broke through to get the game tied again. I really did think this game was going to get way out of hand, but the Sens didn't let that happen, and that is the good news. Now, for the bad news. Thomas Chabot played basically 38 minutes last night, and that is the bad news. Chabot played 38 minutes on the second night of a back-to-back after playing 22 minutes the night before. That means in basically 24 hours, Chabot played an entire hockey game. Yeah, he's young, and he can handle it, but he really shouldn't have to. For Chabot to play 38 minutes last night is just completely inexcusable. And sure, I assign a little bit of the blame for that to DJ Smith and the coaching staff, but I think what this really tells you is how little faith DJ has in the depth defense for the Sens. There was no Christian Wolanin, who's still out. There was no Nikita Zaitsev, who's out. There's no Dylan DeMello, who's out. So the Sens basically had 3 defensemen last night who DJ Smith thought would actually be on his roster this year. So he took his big dog and rode him, while Englund played basically 7 minutes and Golubev played about 10. And Lajoie, who's basically been a healthy scratch the last couple games, when he did play, last saw the ice for like 5 minutes. Actually, it was even worse. Wasn't even 4. Now, Chabot did play almost 12 minutes more than any other Sens defenseman, so that's a bit of an issue. But what this really tells me is DJ Smith doesn't trust the Sens' depth defenseman that much, and that is the bad news. Now, one thing I should touch on just before we get into our next up segment is Erik Brannstrom did play 18 minutes last night, which was really nice to see. And I know I slagged him off in yesterday's video, but honestly, I thought he's looked pretty good since coming back up. I'm still not sure the 3 or 4 games that he did play in Belleville is enough, but hey, Ottawa's got some depth issues, and he fits in pretty nice. Next up, the Sens return to action Thursday evening when they welcome the Nashville Predators to the Canadian Tire Centre. That contest will be the first of 2 meetings on the season between the two teams, with the Sens returning to Nashville on February 25th. But the Sens have just 1 regulation win against the Preds since February of 2012. In that span, the Preds have gone 8-1-3. So, yeah, this might not go well. Luckily though, the Preds don't look nearly as good as most people thought they would. But they are still 6 points ahead of the Sens with 2 games in hand. But they did just pull the New York double, outscoring the Rangers and Islanders 13-5, including 8-3 on Long Island. So the Preds are coming in hot and the Sens are, well, not. That's it for this video. Hit like if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share it with anybody you know, and today's question is, What would you do about Ottawa's depth defense issue? Would you trade for a guy? Would you just ride it out? Let me know what you do down below, and we'll see you on Thursday night when the Sens host the Nashville Predators.